From the outside, the Carter family looked like the perfect picture of love and unity. Sunday dinners, family photos, and laughter that could fill a whole room. But beneath those smiles was a quiet storm that Evelyn Carter could feel growing stronger each year. At 38, Evelyn had carried the family longer than anyone cared to admit. She was the eldest, the peacemaker, the one who always showed up, even when it cost her sleep, money, and peace. Her younger siblings, Denise and Troy, often leaned on her like she was some endless well of help. "Evie, you know I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious," Denise would say, her voice sweet but practiced. "Just till payday." And Evelyn, against her better judgment, always said yes. When their mother, Gloria Carter, fell sick in 2022, Evelyn was the one who quit her nursing job in Chicago to move back to Atlanta. She used her savings to cover hospital bills, while her siblings sent excuses from their new lives. One rainy evening, she stood by her mother's bedside. "Mama, you'll be fine," she whispered, pressing a damp towel on her forehead. Gloria smiled weakly. "You've always been my strong girl." Evelyn smiled through tears. "That's because I learned from you." But when Gloria died in early 2023, everything changed. During the will reading, the lawyer cleared his throat and said, "Mrs. Gloria Carter's house and savings are to be shared equally among her children, Evelyn, Denise, and Troy." Evelyn exhaled with relief. But her relief didn't last. Denise leaned forward, pretending to look concerned. "Actually, Mom told me before she passed that she wanted me to keep the house. Evelyn already has a good job." Troy nodded quickly. "Yeah, that's true. She said that to me too." Evelyn blinked, confused. "What? Mama never said that." The lawyer hesitated. "There's no written amendment. But if that's what she expressed verbally." "She didn't." Evelyn cut in. "Mama told me all three of us would share everything equally." Denise folded her arms. "Then you should have recorded it." Evelyn stared at her siblings, the same people she had sacrificed years for, the people she loved most. Her voice broke. "After everything I've done for this family? You'd take everything from me." Denise smirked. "It's not about taking. It's about moving on. You have your life, Evie. Let me have this one thing." That night, Evelyn sat in her old bedroom, tears wetting her palms. She whispered into the silence, "The love I had for family was thrown away." It was the moment she realized that blood might connect people, but it doesn't always mean love. The days after the will reading felt like walking through a bad dream for Evelyn Carter. She had buried her mother with love, respect, and heartbreak, but she hadn't expected to bury her trust in her family too. The house, their mother's small two-story home in southwest Atlanta, had always been a symbol of unity. Now, it became the battlefield. Denise changed the locks 2 weeks after the funeral. When Evelyn arrived one afternoon to pick up some of her mother's things, the key didn't fit. She knocked repeatedly. "Denise, open this door." After a pause, Denise's voice came through, cold as ice. "Evelyn, you can't just show up anymore. This is my house now." Evelyn froze. "Your house? Mama's will." Denise cut her off. "Mama's gone. I'm taking care of the property now. You've got your apartment in Chicago. Let it go." Evelyn's voice trembled. "You're unbelievable. You didn't even take care of Mama. You didn't visit her once." Denise swung the door open. Her makeup was perfect, her tone sharp. "And yet, here you are acting like a saint. You think you're better than us because you played nurse for a few months? Please. You just wanted attention." The words sliced deep. Evelyn took a step back. "Attention? I gave up everything for this family, Denise. Everything." Troy appeared behind his sister, avoiding Evelyn's eyes. "Evie, Maybe it's best to just let Denise handle it. She's been here. She knows what Mama wanted. Evelyn stared at him in disbelief. You too. He shrugged. You've always been the strong one. You'll be fine. That sentence broke something inside her. Evelyn turned slowly and walked away. The autumn wind caught her hair, tears blurring her vision. She had always believed family would stand together, through loss, through pain, through everything. But now she saw it clearly. Love meant nothing when greed walked in. That night, she sat in her car outside the old house. The porch light glowed faintly, flickering in the dark. She remembered her mother's words, soft and trembling before she passed. Evie, don't ever let this family break you. Promise me. And she had promised. But as she stared at the house she no longer had a key to, that promise felt impossible to keep. Her phone buzzed. A message from Denise. Please stop coming here. You're stressing me out. Evelyn typed back with shaking fingers. You took everything from me. But I won't let you take my peace. She dropped her phone beside her, looked at the night sky, and whispered, God, give me strength. Because right now, I feel like I have no one. A month passed, but the sting of betrayal stayed fresh in Evelyn's heart. Every corner of Atlanta reminded her of her mother, the grocery store they used to visit, the park bench where Gloria liked to rest her legs, the church where her voice once led the choir. One chilly Saturday morning, Evelyn received a call from Mrs. Douglas, her late mother's neighbor. Baby, I saw a moving truck outside your mama's place, the old woman said softly. They're throwing things away. Some boxes have your name on them. Evelyn froze. What? I didn't want to meddle, but it didn't look right, Mrs. Douglas continued. You better come quick. Within minutes, Evelyn was in her car, her heart pounding. When she arrived, Denise and Troy were in the yard with movers, tossing boxes into a dumpster. Evelyn jumped out of her car. What are you doing with Mama's things? Denise didn't even flinch. Cleaning up. Most of this stuff is old junk. Evelyn rushed to the dumpster and saw her mother's journals, old photographs, and framed Bible verses covered in dust. How could you? These aren't junk. They're memories. Troy looked away. We don't have space for all that sentimental stuff, Evie. Evelyn clenched her fists. You don't have space for love. That's your problem. She grabbed a few boxes, loaded them into her car, and drove off. That night, sitting in her small apartment, she opened one of the boxes. Inside was a faded journal labeled G. Carter, 2022. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages, and stopped when she saw her mother's handwriting on a folded letter addressed to the lawyer. It read, In case I don't recover, I want my eldest daughter, Evelyn Carter, to manage the property and savings. She has cared for me with all her heart and deserves the home. Tears blurred Evelyn's eyes. Her mother had left instructions. But someone had hidden this letter before it reached the lawyer. The next day, Evelyn drove back to the house quietly at dawn. She sneaked through the back door, the same door she used as a child to sneak cookies after bedtime. Upstairs, the attic door creaked open. The smell of old cedar filled the air. Under a dusty trunk, she found more papers, utility bills in her mother's name, a missing signature page from the will, and an unsigned check with Denise's handwriting all over it. Her stomach dropped. They forged documents. They wanted to erase me. She heard voices downstairs, Denise's voice. She'll give up soon. She's always been soft. Evelyn froze, heart pounding, gripping the evidence in her hand. She whispered to herself, Not this time. You threw away my love, but you won't steal my truth. She quietly backed out and left, determined. It was no longer about the house. It was about justice and reclaiming her mother's honor. The following week, Evelyn walked into the same law firm where the will had been read, the same place her heart had broken. But this time, She wasn't trembling. She carried a brown folder under her arm, filled with the evidence she'd found in the attic. Her mother's handwritten letter, copies of utility bills, and the unsigned check bearing Denise's handwriting. Mr. Harris, the family lawyer, looked up as she entered. "Evelyn, I wasn't expecting you." "I found something you should have seen months ago," she said firmly, placing the folder on his desk. He adjusted his glasses, reading through the documents carefully. His expression changed from confusion to shock. "Where did you get these?" "From the attic," Evelyn said. "My sister and brother tried to hide them." He looked up at her. "These change everything. This letter is a direct expression of intent. If this had been presented earlier, you'd be the legal administrator of the estate." Evelyn exhaled sharply, fighting tears. "I just want the truth recognized. I don't even care about the house anymore. I just want my mother's wishes respected." Mr. Harris nodded slowly. "Then you'll need to file for a review. But prepare yourself. It won't be pleasant." Evelyn smiled faintly. Nothing about family betrayal ever is. That evening, she sent a group text to her siblings. "We need to meet at the house tomorrow. All of us. No excuses." The next day, Denise arrived first, wearing her usual designer coat. Troy followed, looking uneasy. Evelyn stood in the living room, her mother's portrait behind her, calm but resolute. "What's this about?" Denise asked, arms crossed. Evelyn placed the brown folder on the table. "About what you both did." Denise's smirk faltered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Then explain this," Evelyn said, opening the folder and pulling out the letter. "Mama wrote this to the lawyer before she died. She wanted me to manage the property because I cared for her. You two hid it." Troy paled. Denise forced a laugh. "That letter could be fake. Anyone could have written that." Evelyn stepped closer. "Fake?" "Her handwriting's on the check you forged too, right? You tried to sign her name. I compared it." Troy raised his voice. "Enough, Evie. You're blowing this out of proportion." Evelyn's tone stayed calm but sharp. "No, I'm done being quiet. I'm done being the one who fixes everything while you take and destroy. Mama trusted me. You threw away my love, but I won't let you throw away her truth." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Denise looked away, biting her lip. Troy stared at the floor. Finally, Evelyn took a deep breath. "I'll be filing a case. Not for revenge, but for justice. Because I loved this family more than myself, and you both turned that love into something ugly." She walked toward the door, pausing at the threshold. "May God deal with each of us according to our hearts." When the door shut behind her, the house suddenly felt empty, like the ghost of their mother had finally left with her. Weeks passed after the confrontation, and the air around Evelyn felt lighter, though her heart still carried the scars. The case went to review. The lawyer presented the letter and evidence to the court, and after weeks of tension, the ruling was clear. Gloria Carter's final wish was for Evelyn to manage the property. Evelyn didn't cheer or cry. She simply closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you, Lord." She didn't move back into the house, though. Instead, she restored it, painted the walls her mother's favorite cream color, repaired the porch swing, and planted fresh roses in the front yard. It wasn't just a home anymore. It was a sanctuary of closure. One Saturday morning, Mrs. Douglas from next door came over with sweet tea. "You did right by your mama, baby," she said, smiling warmly. "She'd be proud." Evelyn smiled softly. "I just wanted her name cleared. I couldn't let greed erase her love." Later that afternoon, she got an unexpected visitor. Troy stood at the gate, hat in hand, eyes red. "Evie," he said quietly, "I'm sorry." Evelyn looked at him for a long moment, then opened the gate. "Come in." They sat on the porch where they used to eat popsicles as kids. I didn't mean for things to go that far, Troy said. Denise convinced me it was best. But I knew deep down it was wrong. Evelyn nodded slowly. You both broke my heart. I kept thinking, maybe if I'd done more, things wouldn't have turned out like this. He shook his head. You did everything. We just didn't appreciate you. A tear rolled down his cheek. Evelyn placed a gentle hand on his arm. Troy, I forgave you the day I found that letter. Because if I didn't, the pain would have owned me. He looked at her, surprised. Even after everything? She smiled faintly. Forgiveness isn't for you. It's for me. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind rustle through the trees. For the first time in months, Evelyn felt peace. As evening fell, she stood by her mother's grave behind the house. Mama, she whispered, they hurt me, but I learned. Love without boundaries destroys you. But love with wisdom, that heals. She placed a white rose on the grave and smiled through her tears. I'm finally free. The following week, Evelyn opened a community foundation in her mother's name, the Gloria Home for Single Mothers. She used part of her inheritance to help women who, like her, had given everything for family and received nothing in return. At the opening ceremony, she gave a short speech. Sometimes, family will betray you. But don't let their darkness make you forget your light. Forgive, rise, and keep your heart pure. Because peace is the greatest inheritance. The audience applauded, some in tears. As Evelyn looked around, she saw Denise standing at the back of the crowd, eyes glistening with guilt. Their eyes met for a moment. No words, no anger, just quiet understanding. Evelyn smiled softly and turned back to the crowd. Her mother's love had been thrown away by others, but Evelyn had learned how to rebuild it, not in a house, not in money, but in the lives she touched.